Hi everyone, Lisa Gornall here. I thought I'd come really quick and give you some tips on boundaries. Boundaries are so important for all of the relationships in your life. So I wanted to give you a little quick do's and don'ts with boundaries. So first of all, boundaries do not have to be like energetic walls and barriers that we build. It's very common for people to not feel safe in childhood or in certain relationships as they're growing up, and they think, I'm not going to let people in anymore, and they create boundaries like around their hearts, their stomachs. You know, sometimes I've even seen people energetically create like forts, like they're living in a fort with like a moat around them. So it's really important to know that just because you want to create boundaries and you want to have that space with people, it doesn't necessarily have to be an energetic one. I do recommend that if you ever want to put up a boundary, that all you do is just put yourself into the white light. The white light, which is God, love, universe, source, is never a boundary, but what the white light does is it just puts you into a safe space, and that protects your energy. If you have someone that you would like to create a boundary with because they're not listening to you, they're not respecting you, they're not adhering to your wishes, then you don't need to create an energetic boundary for that. You need to just verbally give them a boundary. You need to let them know what's okay and what's not. One of the things that I'm noticing this week in my groups and with my clients is that we're not telling people what's okay and what's not okay. So if you're not telling somebody what's okay and then they do it again and you get mad at them, how do they know that that's not okay? You never gave them a boundary. You never said it wasn't okay. They have no idea. So it's really important that if somebody does something that you don't like, that you tell them, hey, please don't do that. I don't like it. Or this isn't okay. Or I would like you not to do this going forward, right? People don't know. I'm a mind reader. Some of you are mind readers, but the majority of the population, totally not mind readers. So let's not pretend that they are, right? So do that with people. Tell them what's okay and what's not okay. That's how you create a boundary. Now, what happens when people don't adhere to those boundaries? That's a big thing. I get asked that all the time, right? So you've drawn a boundary and you said, hey, this is how you treat me. This is how you don't treat me. This is what okay, this isn't. And they cross that boundary. This is at that point now where they're testing you, right? Just think of them as being like a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old. And they're just challenging this boundary. How firm is this boundary? Are you sure? Do you really want this boundary? They don't know. They want to do what they want to do, so they're going to test you. And your job is to say, no, this is the boundary. I told you cannot do this. And if you do this, this is what I'm going to have to do. And you have to be, just like you would with a child, right? Whether you have children or not, you know what this is. You have to be able to say, you did this, so this is the repercussion. Or you did this, and so now we need space. Or you did this, and you didn't listen to me, so what can we do so that this doesn't happen again? But there has to be some sort of repercussion for them crossing the boundary. And it's not like a punishment at all, but there has to be something that says, you can't do this, right? Otherwise, it's just like, let's even say a teenager. I have 2 teenagers right now, right? Let's just say it's like a teenager testing that boundary, right? So you just have to say, this is the boundary, and there is a consequence for crossing it, and this is what it is, okay? What do you have when you've given the boundary and they keep crossing it and they're not listening to you? Now you're at what I would like to call a pivotal moment. This is a moment where you need to decide how important it is to have this person in your life that's not respecting you, that's not adhering to your wishes, and doesn't care about your boundaries. Because if they did, they wouldn't keep crossing them, right? So when you get to this pivotal moment with this person, you have to decide, what is it that I would like to do? What's more important? And then this goes back to what I was saying earlier on this video. We teach people how to treat us. And if you continue to let somebody keep breaking these boundaries and hurting you, sometimes emotionally or energetically, or even hurting your feelings, then you're teaching them that this is okay. And if you keep doing that, then I would like you to then take a look at your self-worth. So your self-worth is how you value yourself. It's what you think about yourself, right? Do you think that you are worthy of being in relationships where people respect you, where people are your equals, where you lift each other up? Or do you think that you need to be in relationships where people are always bringing you down, or that you're constantly filled with a whole bunch of negative energy, right? So we've really got to pay attention to what is it that we keep attracting around us. This ties into boundaries because here's the thing. What you're doing in one relationship, you're doing in many. Let me repeat that. What you're doing in one relationship, you're doing in many. So that means that if you keep attracting the same type of significant other, or the same type of best friends, or the same type of like colleagues around you or whatever, then I really want you to look at what is it that I keep creating and why do I keep creating it? Is this helping me? Is this shifting my energy? Is this taking me to the next level? Because if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, and you've heard me say this in other videos, that is the definition of insanity. So if you're finding yourself doing the same patterns over and over and over again, you have energy work to do. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You've got work to do. And the sooner you start doing it, and the sooner you start valuing yourself, loving yourself, knowing your worth, the sooner that you're going to be able to start creating different relationships. Right? Because when you create a boundary with somebody, hey everyone, when you create a boundary with someone, they should follow it. They should say, oh my gosh, I love you and I totally want to hang out with you. And I'm so sorry that I did that. I'm not going to do it again. Those are the relationships that you want to surround yourselves with. And so many times I get asked questions about these relationships where, like I talked about those 3 things that you keep doing in those boundaries and they keep breaking them. If people keep putting their will or what they want, and it's more important than you or what you want or what you're asking for in these relationships, then you need to do that energy work. You need to look within and you need to say, why do I keep getting into these relationships and what is going on? You need to take responsibility for what you keep allowing to be created in your life, right? Because we tell people how to treat us. And your job when you meet people and you start to become friends with people, or you start to become intimate with somebody, or even with your coworkers, your job is to let them know when something's not okay, because as I said, they're not mind readers. So really pay attention to when you're meeting new people and you're bringing them into your life, what are you letting them know, right? They don't have a guidebook on you. They don't know what's okay and what's not okay. You've got to tell them. And if they start breaking those boundaries, that's a red flag. And early on, you can say, maybe this isn't going to work out for us. And then before I go, I want to talk about boundaries with people that you've been in relationships for a long time and you keep setting these boundaries and they're not listening to them, because that's always a huge other topic with boundaries. I get this all the time. So if you keep setting boundaries and they're ignoring them and they're not listening, and you've done a little bit of the energy work and you're realizing, maybe it's not me. I keep asking them to do these things and they keep ignoring me and they keep doing what they want, then I would seriously consider, how important are they in your life? Do you really need them? Are they really helping you? Are you ready to make a shift, whether it's a friend or a significant other or whatever? Because the more that you stay in relationships with people that aren't listening to your boundaries, the more your energy level comes down. It's almost like they pull you down on purpose. I can almost guarantee you that if they're breaking your boundaries, they're doing all kinds of other stuff too. That's just been my experience. So whenever you go into a relationship with people, I want you to really think about, is this going to be a good relationship? Don't just hang out with people, get into relationships just because they want to hang out with you, just because they want to be around you. I tell my teenagers this all the time. This is so important. We just kind of think like, oh, they want to be my best friend, or oh, they really want to hang out with me, or oh, they really like me. That's great. I mean, great. But that doesn't mean that you have to bend over backwards to let this person in that you didn't necessarily want to let in, and now you've got this relationship and it's completely dysfunctional and they're not listening to your boundaries and everything's all completely out of control. That happens so many times. So make sure that when you're setting your boundaries, well, let's make sure that you're setting boundaries. You're enforcing the boundaries. And if they're not acknowledging the boundaries, then what is it that you can do to make that shift? And then what energy work do you need to do so that way you stop allowing these people into your life? All right, if you guys have any questions or comments, please drop them below and you know that I'll get back to you. I hope that you all have a fabulous day.